Jack Della Maddalena and Kevin Holland are going to war this weekend. They will be the co-main event to a title fight between Alexa Grasso and Valentina Shevchenko. Guys, I'm here to make my predictions. I'm here to make the breakdowns for the best fights on this card. I think that Jack Della Maddalena is being slept on going into this fight. I don't think he's getting enough credit for the way in which he beat Basil Hoffus. And I've also underrated Kevin Holland, so I'm looking forward to breaking down that fight. What happens if Valentina Shevchenko doesn't throw that spinning kick to the body? And of course, the return of Raul Rosas Jr. Will the youngest fighter in the UFC get exposed yet again? And on top of that, Roman Kopylov, the middleweight Petr Yan, is back to take on Josh Fremd. Is he going to cut through him like butter? Or will Roman Kopylov's number one weakness be exposed? We'll talk about that in this video. If you guys are interested in my take on a particular fight, just make sure to look at the timestamps in the description. And without further ado, let's get to the first fight. Roman Kopylov versus Josh Fremd. This was originally supposed to be Chris Curtis and Anthony Hernandez, and this is what we have now. Of course, Chris Curtis pulled out, Roman Kopylov stepped in. It was supposed to be the battle of two of the most exciting prospects in the UFC. Anthony Hernandez pulls out, and in steps mediocre Josh Fremd. Here's the thing. How does Josh Fremd win this fight? Well, he's going to have to take Roman Kopylov down because he cannot stand with Roman Kopylov. If you guys haven't been watching Roman Kopylov, you better start watching now because he, in my opinion, is already a top 5 striker in the middleweight division. He is one of the most exciting, dynamic strikers to watch. And in my opinion, I think he is the fastest guy on the feet that we've seen since Adesanya and Alex Pereira in this division. Roman Kopylov had a hole in his game. He got submitted by Karl Roberson. He got taken down by Albert Duraev. He has fixed that hole, in my opinion. Now, has he really shown it? Has he really proven it that much? Not really. But why do I think he's fixed that hole? He moved to Dagestan a few years ago, and ever since, he's gotten a fuckload better. This guy has 3 TKOs in a row. Alessio Di Chirico, Punelli Soriano, and he head kick KO'd the Walmart Yoel Romero, Claudio Ribeiro. This guy's speed for middleweight is disgusting. He has filthy speed at the middleweight division. He's a big middleweight. He's listed at 6 foot. I think he's a tall 6 foot. Josh Fremd is listed at 6'4". There's no way he's really 6'4". He's probably like 6'2 or 6'3". Roman Kopylov, I think training in Makhachkala, Dagestan, Russia for the past few years is going to pay dividends in this fight. And I think that Josh Fremd, it's like, sure, he submitted Cedricus Dumas, who got a lot of hype going into that fight as a street fighter, but Cedricus Dumas isn't that good. He also got folded up into a pretzel by Tresean Gore, who highlight reel submitted him, if you guys don't remember that. Picked him up against the fence. Josh Fremd tried to do a 360 out of it, and Tresean Gore subbed him. He got taken down and dominated by Anthony Hernandez, all right? Josh Fremd went to a decision with Jamie Pickett, all right? And he submitted Cedricus Dumas. That's it. He's not, in my opinion, that good. He's not dangerous on the feet. He's pretty mediocre on the feet. He's going to be big, but I don't think it's going to make a difference. My prediction in this fight is that Roman Kopylov is going to annihilate this dude with kicks. Roman Kopylov has some of the least telegraphed weapons and techniques on the feet that I've seen in the middleweight division in quite some time. Extremely fast, powerful. He's going to tag Josh Fremd early in this fight. Josh Fremd's going to be thrown off by the speed, by the power, and I think he's going to think twice about closing the distance, looking for takedowns. And I think that he's just going to get in his head and he's going to start floating around on the outside, and Roman Kopylov's going to pick him apart and eventually put him away. If Josh Fremd starts to shoot, I don't think he's going to be shooting the best takedowns in this fight. Again, I think he's going to get caught. I think he's going to get flustered. And if anything, we'll see some panic takedowns. And I don't think it's going to go well for him. I think Roman Kopylov's going to put this man away. And yet again, we will be talking about how impressive Roman Kopylov is. And it's only a matter of time before this guy's, in my opinion, going to get into the top 5 of the middleweight division, as long as he shows that his grappling has improved, which I think it will. Just be on the lookout for this fight because you're not going to want to miss it. This is going to be a nasty finish. Raul Rosas Jr. and Terrence Mitchell. I can't wait for this fight. I cannot wait for this fight. Raul Rosas Jr., the youngest fighter in the UFC, coming off of a loss to Christian Rodriguez, where he dominated Christian Rodriguez in the early going of that fight in the first round, but he emptied the gas tank. And if he had just slowed himself down a little bit, I think he could have edged that out. I think he could have got a 29-28 as opposed to getting 29-28. Here's the issue. Here is the issue for Raul Rosas Jr. He is a small bantamweight, and it's weird because he's 5'9". He's not that short for the bantamweight division, and he's lean. He's a very lean guy, but he still looks like a boy amongst men in that division. He really does. He hasn't grown into his full frame. His muscle just isn't really full, and I don't know. I feel like his weight cut must be pretty easy. I don't think he's weight draining himself. The thing is, a lot of guys, they cut a lot of weight, they're lean anyway, but then they blow up. Raul Rosas Jr. isn't blowing up. The size definitely played a factor in his fight with Christian Rodriguez, who, after the first round, started to bully Raul Rosas Jr. around a little bit because he was just bigger and he could last a little longer. And that size started to wear on Raul Rosas Jr. Terrence Mitchell just got finished by Cameron Saaiman in his UFC debut. Cameron Saaiman, he's 24. He's a pretty jacked, shredded, fast twitch bantamweight that's very well-rounded. He TKO'd Terrence Mitchell in the first round. The grappling exchanges were relatively close early, but the striking made the difference for Cameron Saaiman, who's just very fast twitch. Raul Rosas Jr. is not fast twitch on the feet. I know on the Contender Series, he had a couple of moments where he threw a flying knee into a takedown, and he looked like he was throwing some fancy schmancy next level shit. He's the new age guy, right? It's not until the second and third round of his last fight that we saw that this guy was basically Tatsudo Taira 2.0. Now, don't get me wrong. He's still better than Tatsudo Taira, but his striking is pretty fucking ugly, and it's slow twitch. Even sticking behind the basics, his jab, his right hand, they're not that good. He does not have the best striking at this point. Terrence Mitchell is a grappler. This is a guy with a wrestling background that is also, he looks like a young guy, but he's in his 30s. He has a lot of experience. The grappling is his bread and butter. I'm worried that if Terrence Mitchell can weather the early onslaught from Raul Rosas Jr. on the ground, because he has a grappling background, because he has a wrestling background, and that kind of is his thing as well, that he'll be able to do something similar to Raul Rosas Jr. in the second and third because he's the bigger guy, because he's got the grown man strength, and because he's just a better striker at the end of the day. Just because you're getting outstruck by Cameron Saaiman does not mean you're not going to be a better striker than Raul Rosas Jr. I just think that Cameron Saaiman is a fucking beast, right? That can impose his will, that's solid everywhere. And I'm worried that if Raul Rosas Jr. gets caught up in the hype, Mexican Independence Day, the crowd going crazy, I need a first round finish, I need to show out, I want to put on a show for the fans, I'm worried that he's going to gas out again. And Terrence Mitchell, as the bigger guy, as the more experienced guy, is going to slowly but surely wear on Raul Rosas and start to outstrike him a bit on the feet. But I'm going to trust in Raul Rosas Jr. I'm going to trust in his ability to learn from his last fight. He went to Kyrgyzstan, which is, out there in the wrestling region of the world, to train with his ex-high school wrestling coach, I believe. And he's been getting some good work out there. So I think his wrestling is going to improve. I'm going to trust in Raul Rosas Jr. to get this one done. Even though it's going to be hard to hold back from gunning for the finish in front of all of his fans on Mexican Independence Day, I think that he's going to also take a lot of confidence in knowing that they're giving him a lot of hype. And he's just going to feel like he's unstoppable that night. And he's going to stick to his game plan. I think that he's going to have a grappling edge over Terrence Mitchell ultimately. Because here's the thing. Raul Rosas Jr., say what you want. Say he was exposed. Okay, fair. I still think he would have won his last fight with a smarter approach. And I still think you have to at least give credit to this guy to getting in the UFC for taking out veterans or guys that have experience. You know what I mean? Submitting Jay Perrin in the first round, having a really good showcase in the Dana White Contender Series. This guy's obviously a fucking beast on the ground. He's very talented. And I think he's more talented than Terrence Mitchell that didn't get to the UFC until he was in his 30s. And to be honest, is not like a highly touted prospect at all. So I'm going to be picking Raul Rosas Jr. And I think he's going to start to frustrate Terrence Mitchell on the ground, who is going to make a mistake in the second or third to explode up to his feet, just trying to have a moment, just trying to get into the fight. And I think he's going to give up his back and get choked out by Raul Rosas Jr., who I believe is going to come in with a bit of a smarter approach this time. So I'll go with Raul Rosas in this fight by second or third round sub. Jack Della Maddalena versus Kevin Holland. This is what we are most excited for. And guys, I think that this is going to live up to the hype. I think this is going to be a war, and I don't think we're going to see a finish. The first thing that I want to get out of the way is I flip-flopped my pick a couple of times on this fight, all right? I've rewatched a lot of their fights back. I've rewatched all of Jack Della Maddalena's UFC fights. There's only 5 of them, and I've rewatched a bunch of Kevin Holland's fights at welterweight. We know that Kevin Holland's coming off of a knockout win over Santiago the Old Man Ponzinibbio, which, let's be honest, it's Santiago Ponzinibbio. And here's what I'm going to be getting at, guys. Although Kevin Holland put away Santiago, although Kevin Holland basically hurts almost every single opponent that he fights, in the early going at least, I don't see a method to his madness. And although I've been impressed with his speed and although I've been impressed with his power, I think that when you have another striker in front of you that can match you on those similar attributes, like a Jack Della Maddalena, who can exceed you with his technical boxing, I like the guy that goes in there and can impose his will a little bit more. Now, when I say impose your will, it doesn't necessarily mean walking someone down. Adesanya is someone that can impose his will without walking someone down. He has a blueprint that he uses to pick people apart. Kevin Holland, I've even slowed some of his fights down to 0.5 speed. And I really don't see a whole lot of method to his madness. Like, I see a guy that relies on his power, that relies on his speed, and can catch people. All right? That's good in certain areas. For example, Kevin Holland is a monster in the clinch. We saw him hurt Michael Chiesa with knees in the clinch. We saw him hurt Wonderboy Thompson at multiple moments in that fight with big elbows in the clinch. He's very good when he ties you up because, of course, he's the long, wiry guy that can bring the knee up all the way into that jaw. And Jack Della Maddalena, if you haven't been watching him, this is a guy that loves to go to the body, and he'll often, when he gets tied up by his opponents, he'll just rip shots to the body, like 4 or 5 piece combination. Kevin Holland can take advantage of that. Kevin Holland can hurt Jack Della Maddalena. Here's the thing. I have never seen Jack Della Maddalena get affected by a big strike. I've seen this guy eat big shots like Tic Tacs throughout his entire UFC run so far. And here's the thing. Most of those shots came in the Basil-Hoffus fight because before that, we saw Jack Della Maddalena tear through every single opponent in the first round. We often talk about guys like Khamzat Chimaev. It's the way Khamzat's beating people that's so impressive. Jack Della Maddalena is styling on people on the feet, and I understand the level of competition is nowhere near that of Kevin Holland, but he's finishing guys and doing it in a fashion that is the best possible case scenario, like getting guys out of there instantly with absolutely no damage taken. And when he did get hit with big shots against Basil-Hoffus, who, let's be honest, is a fucking unit. Just look at the guy. He's big, he's powerful, he's explosive, he's got the wrestling background, he has the threat of the takedown as well. Jack Della Maddalena was eating his shots like Tic Tacs, and the most important thing that I took away from that fight is, number one, he carries his power late in fights. He was getting tired. His body language was starting to drop off of a cliff through all the adversity, through all the grappling, through all the low IQ pulling guillotine moves, which he did end up fixing in the third round, by the way. He carried his power late. He was able to hurt Basil-Hoffus on the feet. And most importantly, he was able to stick to his game plan. He didn't get flustered. He didn't get in his head, oh, the takedown's coming. I can't open up. I'm not going to throw my shots. He walked him down regardless. He made big moments happen on the feet and ripped to the body. And this is what I'm going to get at. Jack Della Maddalena has difference-making power in his hands. I think the body shots are going to make a big difference, and I think he's going to slow Kevin Holland down, and we are going to see a more tired, lethargic-looking Kevin Holland in the second and third round, and I think that's just going to add up and allow Jack Della Maddalena to win this fight based on, number one, damage, and number two, body language. I think we're going to see a Kevin Holland that's looking tired, that's looking like he's getting affected with the big body shots, the difference makers of Jack Della Maddalena. And at the end of the day, I like Jack Della Maddalena's ability to impose his will, to march people down with a plan. And I think I really like Jack Della Maddalena's investment shots in this fight. I don't really see Kevin Holland as a guy that can do really well with investment shots. The difference maker is going to be the body shots of Jack Della Maddalena. And Kevin Holland, it's like, is this guy really affecting your legs when he's kicking them? Is he affecting your knee when he's throwing a side kick to the knee? Like, not really. It's just all to keep you at range, to pick you apart a little bit. But they're not really making a huge difference in the grand scheme of a fight. He's just kind of waiting to walk you onto the right hand or to hurt you in the clinch. So I really do think that Jack Della Maddalena has a style, as I said, that's more conducive to slowing you down over a long period of time. They're both incredibly powerful. So it's like, I'm not going to favor one guy when it comes to their power. And Jack Della Maddalena showed heart. He showed a good gas tank. And I think without the threat of the takedown here, he'll be able to keep up a good pace. And it's like he was carrying his power late with Basil-Hoffus. Bro, again, Basil-Hoffus is not a fucking joke. This guy is a beast. People do not give Jack Della Maddalena enough credit for beating him. Why? Look at what happened with Movsar Evloev and Diego Lopez. Diego Lopez tests Movsar Evloev in that fight heavily early on, almost submits him multiple times, but Movsar Evloev still wins. What are they doing to Diego Lopez? This guy's the best thing since sliced bread. Basil Hoffus tests Jack Della Maddalena, mixes in takedowns, shows a granite chin, really good cardio, and most importantly, presented a similar stylistic matchup to that of Sean Brady. So it's not like it's a totally different stylistic matchup that would have thrown Jack Della Maddalena off. Similar stylistic matchup, made it a very close fight, but still, Jack Della Maddalena doesn't get credit, and people talk about Basil Hoffus like he's a can. The guy trains at elevation with Usman, with Gagey. He's a beast. He's a unit. He looks like he's on the sauce. He's got a granite chin, a beautiful blast double leg, and he's a pretty good wrestler. Let's be honest. Did he hurt Jack Della Maddalena on the feet? No. Did he land big shots? Yes. Did Jack Della Maddalena almost finish him multiple times? Despite getting taken down? Despite being tired? Yes. Did he stick to his plan? Yes. Kevin Holland, what's his plan looking like? The grappling, Kevin Holland's obviously going to have a Darce choke in his arsenal for Jack Della Maddalena. If he hurts JDM, I would not be surprised if he finishes this fight with a submission. That's something that I could definitely see happening. Jack Della Maddalena, although he got taken down and was able to stay completely safe from Basil Hoffus, and Basil Hoffus did not do any damage to Jack Della Maddalena on the ground at all, Kevin Holland is a finisher down there, and we've seen how good his Darce is. Again, submitting Dirty Bird Tim Means. And for example, Darce choked Michael Chiesa. He has the submission advantage, but I don't think Kevin Holland's going to be out here shooting a takedown on Jack Della Maddalena. I really don't. And I'm favoring JDM. I cannot wait for this fight. I really can't wait for this fight. I really do think this is going to be a war. Two guys, young. Kevin Holland's in his prime right now. He's getting better. He's taking his career a little bit more serious. And Jack Della Maddalena, 26 years old, but a freak of nature on the feet. Some of the best boxing I've ever seen. Just pure orthodox style of boxing I've ever seen in MMA. Alexa Grasso versus Valentina Shevchenko. Guys, I was going with Alexa Grasso for quite some time now, and this is the same reason why I originally went with Usman before picking Leon Edwards in their trilogy. Let me get to this because I think you guys will find this interesting. Sometimes we get caught up in a vibe, in the drama of a fight itself, and the Leon Edwards and the Kamaru Usman rematch is the best example of this. What happened after Leon Edwards knocked out Kamaru Usman in that rematch? Well, a lot of people were picking Usman right off the bat because he was dominating the fight. Why did we feel that Kamaru Usman was dominating the fight? Well, it wasn't only just because he was winning, and I'm not going to say that he wasn't winning the fight or dominating to any degree. He was, but I rewatched that fight back before I ended up picking Leon Edwards, and I saw that, wait a second, Leon Edwards had way more moments than I had remembered. And I think that what people got caught up with was the drama, the body language of Leon Edwards, looking tired, fighting at altitude, the coaches giving him these dramatic Rocky Balboa type of speeches. You know, him tripping in the fence and having many moments where he's just starting to look like an unlucky guy. He's looking sorry for himself. But again, Leon had a lot of moments that I had forgot about in that fight. And I feel like, again, people just run with the overall vibe. Here's the thing. I remember that Alexa Grasso had a lot of success early on with Valentina Shevchenko. She outstruck her in the first round. She was boxing her up. She was picking Valentina Shevchenko apart in the boxing range. And it was kind of a wake-up call for Valentina Shevchenko. And I remember, Alexa Grasso was doing well. She was kind of outstriking Valentina and made Valentina look like, well, the new generation's catching up. And maybe she's getting old. And then, of course, the spinning back kick didn't work out so well and she gets choked out. Alexa Grasso, she looks like a pretty good person to pick in this fight, especially given that it's Mexican Independence Day. The crowd's going to be going crazy. She's going to have a fuckload of confidence after beating one of the women's GOATs. And, of course, the crowd's going to give her energy. And she is closer to her prime. That being said, I'm picking Valentina Shevchenko. Why? Because after the early onslaught that Valentina Shevchenko endured, the boxing of Alexa Grasso, which, let me just be honest, I didn't see many moments where Valentina Shevchenko actually got rocked. I want to mention that early. She wasn't getting rocked in this fight. She took a more tempered approach, okay? She took a more basic approach in the second, third, and fourth round, even before she got submitted. She started to resort to offensive grappling, to the wrestling where she was holding down Alexa Grasso for multiple minutes at a time and slowly but surely started outstriking Alexa Grasso. How? She started sitting behind the jab and basic leg kicks, and that seemed to be enough. She started picking Alexa Grasso off with piston-like jabs so that Alexa Grasso couldn't get in close range to land her combinations on the feet. And to be honest, it started to look like Valentina Shevchenko was making it look a little bit easy. Without much effort, just picking her apart with a jab and a couple of leg kicks, and it was working. And of course, mixing in the offensive wrestling. Now, Alexa Grasso, she's not bad on the ground. She wasn't getting torn to shreds down there, but it's not like she had the upper hand. She caught Valentina Shevchenko while throwing a kick, got her back, sunk in the hooks, and had a beautiful rear naked choke. If Valentina does not throw that kick, I am telling you right now, she wins that fight. And guess what? If she doesn't throw that kick in this fight, she wins that fight. All right? She will have the offensive wrestling. She will be able to take Alexa Grasso down, who did not show the best takedown defense in that fight. And I think that if she's watched it back and she has a smart approach to this fight, she'll know that if I just stick behind basic singular shots and I stick behind my jab, I should be able to handle the boxing of Alexa Grasso. I'm going with Valentina Shevchenko by decision. I think she's going to get her belt back. That being said, the confidence that Alexa Grasso can have going into this fight, she could be training like a mad woman, and she could get a fuckload better, and she could go out here and finish Valentina Shevchenko, who could be embarrassed by this because she just got finished. She didn't get finished by Amanda Nunes, remember? This could be embarrassing for her, and Valentina Shevchenko looked like she wasn't taking the loss all that well. So I could see Alexa Grasso getting in her head a little bit, and Valentina Shevchenko making mistakes, fighting a little bit emotionally. You never know. But I'm going to pick Valentina Shevchenko to win this fight, guys, by decision. So, yeah, what do you guys think? I'm really interested in hearing your take on the main event. I just think that if Valentina Shevchenko sticks behind very, very basic moves, she'll be able to keep Alexa Grasso at bay because she did it easily in the second, third, and fourth round of that fight before she got choked out. And I don't think she's going to make any mistakes by throwing spinning moves, spinning kicks to expose her back.
Let's talk getting lean. The number one mistake people make is they take what I like to call the sailor lost at sea approach to a diet, which means, as you could probably imagine, simulate what it would be like to be a sailor out at sea. What types of foods are you going to be eating? Fish, boring, mundane, gritty foods, chicken and broccoli, broiled potatoes, boring foods that are going to make you miserable. At the end of the day, is being miserable conducive with being healthy and happy? Fuck no. There's no mystery as to why it's a recipe for disaster to take that kind of approach, to go on a crash diet. At the end of the day, you're going to burn out. And once you finish your diet, although you'll get quick results, what's going to happen is, well, you're probably going to need to overcompensate for the month and a half in which you were suffering on that diet, and you'll just want to stuff your face as if you just reached land. And you're finally no longer lost at sea, and you see McDonald's, you see all these fast food places, and you're just going to want to fucking stuff yourself. That's not what you want. What you want is you want to get lean, and you want to be able to maintain being lean. Okay, so although going on a crash diet is going to give you the fastest, quickest results, you're likely going to burn out, all right? There are a couple of savages out there that can run on a crash diet for the rest of time because simply they're built different. But 99% of us, we're not going to do that. And also, even if you are built different, you're destroying your health by going on a mundane diet. You need to allow yourself to eat foods that make you feel energized. And what I'm talking about are big, hearty foods filled with nutrients, filled with minerals, vitamins that are packed with good, hearty calories. Now, again, if you're new to fitness and it's kind of hard for you to move away from your classic comfort foods, well, this is why I have a real food cookbook that I've created to give you guys your favorite comfort foods, all the classics just made with whole and unprocessed ingredients. And again, these are calorically dense meals. These are substitutions for going out to a restaurant or a fast food place and littering your body with seed oils and soy and MSG. At the end of the day, if you're eating foods that are good quality, you're going to burn them more efficiently. You're going to go through them. They're actually going to work for you. They'll give you nutrients. They'll give you good quality energy, and you're not going to feel lethargic. And on top of that, since it's easier to digest, well, you'll get rid of the calories sooner. So check out my Real Food Cookbook. Again, I've made this so that people can eat tasty comfort foods while losing weight just by eating good, quality, satisfying meals that are going to make you feel energized instead of going on that sailor lost at sea diet.